Welcome to Subramani. Having a child is something which is a thing which people 30 years ago just they went and had a kid. It was normal, like just like breathing and eating and sleeping, right? You got married, you had kids. Today people are thinking about should I have a kid? Is my career more important? Or both men and women do not know whether they have the time, money and commitment to have a kid. And like Sadhguru says that a child is a 20-year project if you get it right, and it's a permanent project if you get it wrong. You may have to look after the child for the rest of your life. If something goes wrong, either mentally, physically, and you have to take care of the kid, and you will not know how the kid is going to turn out for a very long period of time. Yes, if there is some kind of a retardation and inability to learn and all, that could mean that you need to provide much more. You need to provide for their whole life apart from providing for your own retirement. So by the time you die, maybe you die at 90, your kid may just be 60. So you will have to provide for the next 30 years for that kid also. So there could be a problem, but I'm talking of generally normal kid. How much would you end up spending? The figure in US, sometime a few years earlier, when I had seen the report for 2012 or 13, was approximately 500,000 US dollars. Now to translate it into Indian rupees would be, don't multiply it by 75, multiply it by 30, taking the purchasing power parity theory. And that would mean a figure of about 1.5 crores. 1.5 crores does not include the MBA fees and all that, just up to end of school. Does not include college expenses, because that is more difficult to estimate. So 1.5 crore does not look very difficult to believe. However, the US calculate a portion of your house rent or your EMI, your car expenses, etc. If you think that those things you will not attribute to the kid, anyway you're living in a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK, so it does not matter. That child is not putting extra rental pressure on you or extra EMI pressure on you. However, if you've shifted from a 1 BHK to a 2 BHK because you're having a baby, or you shifted from a rental place to a own place when you're having a baby, think of all those additional costs. Now, if those are additional costs which you would anyway incur, then it is different. But if you have incurred it for the baby, then you have to include those costs. So, is having a baby a pure financial decision? Answer is no. There is great pleasure in having a kid and seeing a kid properly grow up. But please, just like every investment and everything, consider that there is risk, right? So sit with your spouse, and unless both of you are 100% in agreement, don't have a child till both of you are in complete agreement. Whether your time bomb is ticking because of your age, etc., I'm not getting into that. But if both of you are not into it completely and there is a child with some challenges, the anger of the other person is something which you will not be able to take, and I have seen cases ending in a divorce. I saw parents succumbing to the pressure of the kid and getting a dog, and after 18 months of keeping that dog, they decided to give that dog up to somebody else. They just didn't have the energy in them to look after a pet. If you can't look after a pet, believe me, you should not have a baby. A baby is far more demanding than a pet, and you have no shop to which you can return the baby. It is an irreversible decision, so take a call very, very carefully, right? Like I said, 30 years ago, it was like breathing and eating and sleeping. People just got married, had kids. Today, people are thinking about it, which is a good thing to do. I am not favoring either ways, but the fact that you are thinking about it is good. So, if you're feeling the urge to have your baby and your spouse is in agreement, you must read this post, you must watch this. So first, because that hits you is perhaps the healthcare cost for the mother and for the to-be kid. there it gets expensive. Delivery will cost you maybe a lakh or a lakh and 25 if there are no great complications, right? So apart from that, there will be loss of pay for the mother. There is a 6-month leave with pay, but in case you want to have a 2-year break or things like that, or doctor advises you more rest, then that will take a hit. So in the meanwhile, if you have an EMI going, plan for that EMI. Who is going to pay that EMI? It has to be the husband who has to pay the EMI when the wife's income is not coming. So think about all this before you commit for a house or a car or any of these two things for which people borrow, right? Check with your company's HR. What is the policy? Will they reimburse? Will they reimburse her or will they reimburse you? Right? Obviously, only one of you can make the claim. If it's a big company, there's a good chance that insurance will be covering it. Or be ready for some kind of a medical emergency also, because as soon as the kid is born, within the next say 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, not much enough insurance is also available. But your company might have a policy by which your newborn baby will be covered for the 6 months also. So that is important. Check out on all that insurance. People have no clue how much money you will spend on children ICU, and these ICUs are few and they're packed. And I'm not then the child care debate. Find out who is going to look after the baby, how much is the husband going to do, what else is he going to do. Maybe some husband says, I'm completely sloppy, I don't want to do anything with the kid. That's perfectly all right. How much of the kitchen will he take charge of? What will happen? Do you have domestic help coming in? Is your house big enough for a parent to move in? Are your parents going to move in? Right? My parents were very clear that they were not going to look after the baby. Right? And so some parents do. Some parents stay nearby and therefore they look after. Do you have a bigger house for accommodating them? Do you have enough number of domestic help, etc.? What is the husband's role in running the house on a day-to-day basis when the kid is very small? Maybe till the kid is about 6 months, at least till the kid is about 3 months, the mother will not be very useful for doing a lot of things, which means, of course, people come back to work in 3 months also. People used to come back in 1 month, but it is time when the human body, the woman's body has gone through dramatic chemical changes, chemical, physical, psychological changes, right? So she needs tremendous amount of help. Thankfully, if you're in India, such help is available for money. So be prepared for that from a financial thing. If you were going around in a motorcycle, your mother or father would have anyway said, are you going to take your wife on a motorcycle? So you may have shifted to a car. But believe me, Ola and Uber have made all these things fairly simple. But I don't see too many people now trying to live without a car. It's an assumption that you will always have a car, right? So a bigger family, just check out whether you need a bigger house and bigger car, right? So you will definitely make a great mom, so don't have to worry about it. But there are good books that you can read and be ready for it, right? So now let me give you the breakup which somebody had sent me saying how much does it cost to have a kid in India. So it's a general vaccination for 1 year is about 1 lakh. On an average, a visit to the doctor 1.5 times in a month to about 20 times in a year. That will be the same for the next 3 years. Consultation fees is rupees 500, and I don't have a car, so Ola Uber ratio, this is a customer reader writing in. So that cost is about another 1 lakh per annum. Cost of diaper cost and right, that costs about 24k in a year. So cost now till now is about 1.5 lakhs. Clothes, crib, essentials is 50 lakhs. First birthday, in case you have to buy gold and gifts, etc., that would be another 1.5 lakhs of expenses. So in the first year itself, you will need about 3 to 4 lakhs of cash for the kid, right? Also, if you like to travel, then you need to you may have to pay extra for the baby. You will shell out another 40-50k per annum on this kind of a travel. And he says, now my daughter is 3.5 years old. School plus daycare is about 1.5 lakhs a year. Auto per month is itself another 1 lakh per year. Auto per month is about 8 to 9,000 per month, and that adds. The other expenses, like you have diaper costs, you have other things, like if you want to travel with your baby, you will have those costs. You will have going to the pediatrician. It cost me approximately 30 per annum for 3.5 years. So every year that is 30. So about 2,500 a month, every month, literally, on to meeting the doctor and taking the vaccination. Of course, we have provided for the vaccination separately. So in the first year itself, you will need this kind of money, and then so if your mother-in-law or your mother gives you that kind of service, then that. But otherwise, you have to cost the maid cost would be at least about 9 to 10,000 a month. So that's another 1.25 lakhs. So be careful, sit down, consider all these expenses, and then take a decision. Because if there is no buy-in, the worry for me is not, if the child is normal, that's fine. Then the other parent also starts enjoying the kid. But if the kid is challenged and one of the spouses is not ready for the kid, that kid suffers, the family suffers, it is too much of suffering. So be very careful. I think scanning is a good idea. Find out whether the kid has any problems. There's absolutely no point in having a kid which has problems if you can spot it and spot it early enough. I mean, I'm getting into gynecology, but yes, if you can get all those things done, just think, plan through, like buying a house. Plan through the expenses, and if you're very rich and doing very well off, and you're very well off, both husband and wife earning a couple of million a year, then you may not need to do it at all, but still the exercise helps to find out how much it will cost and what will be the cash flow. So do I have to stop an SIP? What do I have to do? How do I raise money for this kid, right? So this is a good market which is booming. So if you are planning to have a kid now, or in the next, or you're 5 months pregnant or 4 months pregnant, I think it's a great time to take money off the table from equity, keep it in liquid or ultra short bond fund, and maybe you can withdraw from it slowly. But booking some profits, this is a solid excuse to be withdrawing. But yes, it's a great time to be withdrawing, at least partially. So, but getting into this business of having a kid is a completely emotional decision, but don't rush into it, because a bad marriage, if you have a bad marriage, be careful. A kid is a full-time job. It's a project for 20 years. It is not just you had a kid, dumped the kid with your parents or something and went away. Doesn't happen that way. There is tremendous amount of financial, emotional payment that you have to make for having a kid. Think of all that and then have a kid, and be careful with your money. Thank you.